If your best people are leaving, you don't have a loyalty problem. You're failing to lead them, and they're leaving to find someone who will. All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Fitz Franson Show. I'm Fitz.
I'm Franson.
This is a show where we talk about leadership, business, both, and what it actually takes to build something that lasts without lying to yourself along the way.
We're definitely not here for the hype. We are here for the clarity. Chaos is normal in business, but staying there really ends up being a choice.
Absolutely. And before we dive into today's main topic, we're going to kick things off with our daily inspirations rundown. We track what our audience is searching for and what the biggest conversations in the business world are right now, so we can bring you guys the content that actually matters today.
The data's pointing directly at a massive problem that is quietly really destroying some of our companies from the inside out. We're seeing a huge spike in conversations across LinkedIn and the industry forums about retention, loyalty, and why top performers are suddenly walking out the door.
Yeah, it's wild, Jay. Truly, it's almost like a bloodbath out there right now. Business owners are confused and they're frustrated, and they're really pointing fingers at everything except, unfortunately, the real issue.
We're going to jump right in and get to the hot take for today. So the conversation out there is that there's no loyalty anymore. Owners are saying that employees just chase the next dollar, that this generation doesn't want to work hard. You can't build a stable team in 2026. Kind of the list goes on of complaints.
There's no doubt we see it constantly through all those feeds that we've been looking at. And look, you know me, I don't mind calling things like I see it. So I'm going to call that all complete bullshit. If your best people are leaving, you don't have a loyalty problem. You don't have a compensation problem in most cases as well, too. You really, truly have a leadership problem. You're failing to lead them, and they're leaving to find someone who will.
I always push back here on hot takes, Fitz, but I agree to a point. Leadership is a massive part of it, but I also think we have to acknowledge that the social contract between employer and employee is completely broken. For decades, the deal was you give me your loyalty and I give you security. That deal doesn't exist anymore. Employees know that if the company hits a rough quarter, they're gone. I just saw in the news the other day, I don't know if you did, but a disgruntled employee in Ontario, California burned down like a 2 million square foot paper factory. And he did it on social media and said, if you guys paid me a living wage, I wouldn't be doing this. So why should we be loyal?
I did not see that, Jay.
It's crazy. Big fire.
Yeah. Might be a little more aggressive than we want to see out there, but but I understand the frustration for sure. So look, I think that the reality is loyalty isn't bought with a paycheck, Jay. That's really kind of where that aggressive message is trying to be sent there for sure. Obviously paying more would help, but there's some other things that go into it. So that loyalty, it's built through, I think it's built more through vision and standards and maybe a vision of what that path could look like for that person. So if you are running a company and your only pitch to your top performers is we pay you market rate, you're going to lose them to someone who offers market rate plus an actual mission, right? People don't leave companies. They leave stagnant environments. They leave when they look at the owner and realize this person can't really take me any further.
And that's a hard truth. But I will push back again and say that a lot of owners, they think they're providing vision. They have the mission statement on the wall. They do the quarterly rah-rah meetings. I think the disconnect is that the owner's vision is usually about the owner's wealth, not the employee's growth.
Yeah, that's it exactly right there. And that is the loyalty trap, so to speak, right? Owners demand loyalty from their team, but they refuse to be loyal to their team's development. If you want to be a killer team or have a killer team, you have to build them. You got to train them, and you got to give them a reason to stay that goes well beyond their salary or bonuses or whatever it is they have in their comp plan currently.
That is the truth. We've had some amazing guests on our show that have kind of talked about the quality of the companies that they work for and what makes them stick around. So let's maybe make this real for the listeners. If I can, I want to ask you a direct question.
Sure, shoot.
When was the time maybe you lost a top performer, someone you really needed, and looking back, you realize it was entirely your fault?
We were just at a meeting, and one of the comments that was made by one of the leaders in the room who's been doing it probably the longest was, the great thing is I've made all the mistakes, right? And mistakes are part of growth. So this is a mistake that I've certainly made as well. And I know you lead the team at Powerful, and I'm sure have some similar experiences as well. But when you kind of realize it's an absolute gut punch, but it's a fair question to ask. Early on in my career, Jay, I had a guy running for one of my teams, and he was an absolute killer. He was bringing in massive revenue, and I thought we were solid because he was being paid incredibly well. So I really just kind of left him alone, right? A lot of top performers will almost in a way say that to you, maybe in
Yeah.
exact words or not so many words, that I'm good, just leave me
Yeah.
alone. Right? And that's what he did. So I think it was a Tuesday or Wednesday. He comes into my office and hands me his resignation and tells me he's actually going to a competitor for slightly less money.
Yeah.
It was kind of wild.
Yeah. Less money. God, that had to sting. So what was the real reason?
It stung worse when he told me why. He looked me, dead in the eye and said, "Fitz, I know how to sell, but I want to learn how to lead. And you haven't spent really any time developing me in the last year in that regard." He was exactly right. Again, kind of looking back on it and Monday morning quarterback it, I hadn't spent that time with him. So I was really treating him more like a revenue machine and not a person with a career or aspirations or any kind of trajectory at all. If I'm being honest, I was demanding his loyalty to my numbers or our numbers as a company, but I really was offering kind of zero loyalty to his future. And it was a massive, really, truly a massive wake up call for me in my career.
Yeah, man, that's powerful. And similar story when I took over Powerful Media as the general manager, I really cared about the P&L. And I had people on my team that I basically ignored. I said, just do your job. And the company was young enough that I didn't know how to ask the right questions, and my employees didn't know how to ask the right questions. And I lost a couple of good people in the first couple of years. And I didn't even know why until later on when I had made those mistakes, right? You
Yeah.
make every mistake in the book. This happens every single day across the country. But I've been on the other side of that equation too. Before I came here, I remember being a top producer at one of my other companies. My goals, hitting the metrics, breaking the records. And the reward for my hard work was just more work. It was a $8 gift card to Hy-Vee for a turkey on Thanksgiving. And that was it.
Mhm.
And the leader never asked me where I wanted to go or what my goals were. He just expected me to keep grinding for his vision. I eventually left because I realized my ceiling was his comfort zone.
Man, my ceiling was his comfort zone. It pains me to say this, Jay, but that's a brilliant way to phrase it. And I think,
Appreciate it, Fitz.
yeah, we'll mark it down, celebrate it next year. The anniversary of the brilliant phrasing for you. I think it's something that we probably all have experienced, in our careers as obviously before to become a leader, you're a contributor on that level as well too. Some of us have been fortunate to have people invest in us that way, and others haven't. But we've all probably had the experience of those that haven't and gone to those that have, like we're talking about here. So look, this would be my advice to any owner or leader that's listening right now, right? And you should write that phrase down. Like, my ceiling was his comfort zone. That should resonate with you and make you kind of question your conversations and interactions with your people. So are your top performers hitting a ceiling because you are too comfortable, or you are just comfortable to grow as a leader, right? You're not comfortable enough to make those growth attempts.
And to our listeners, all of us have these stories, and we'd love to hear from you. One of the aha moments that you had where you did realize this is on me, and then share with us what you did to outgrow yourself. We love
Yeah.
growth stories. So let's pivot, Fitz, to a solution.
Yeah, let's go for it.
If the old model of buying loyalty is dead, how do you actually retain top talent in 26? How do you keep these top performers on your team from quietly updating their resumes?
That's an excellent question. It's actually what I was going to dive into right after I had that experience with one of my top guys and that pain of losing them. You got to take a hard look in the mirror is really where it starts. I think one of the things you have to realize is, okay, we've talked about different styles of leadership before in a previous episode. And one of those styles is transactional relationships or transactional leadership. In that moment for me, I realized that as much fun as we might be having celebrating wins, really what I was a transactional leader, right? And that was a relationship that I had had instilled in the people that had trusted me with their future. If you are a leader right now and you kind of find yourself in this spot, you need to find a way to transition from that transactional relationship to one that is a development relationship. You have to stop asking, what can this person do for my company? And shift that question to, who is this person becoming while they work for me?
And Fitz, you and I both love coaching. We love the coaching mindset. We love the power of a good question. And on previous episodes, and there will be many more to come, where we talk a lot about scaling the person before you scale the business. This is the exact same principle applied to your team. If you want your company to grow, you have to systematically grow the people inside it.
There's no doubt about that. And look, Jay, I think we both agree with this. It requires intentionality. It
Yeah.
requires like actual conversations. You can't just assume that because someone is hitting their numbers that they're happy, right? You have to know what their personal vision is for themselves, their family, whatever it might be. Are they buying a house? Are they trying to
Mhm.
become a VP at some point in their career? Or are they trying to start even their own business one day? If you don't know the answers to those questions, the sad truth is that you're already losing them.
Let's address the hippo in the room. Some people call it an elephant, but at the Fitz and Franson show, it's a hippo sitting
Yeah.
in the corner. A lot of owners are terrified to develop their people because they think, if I train them, they'll just leave and become my competition.
Again, put it a little bluntly here, Jay, that's a loser's mentality for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Scarcity mindset, you can rephrase it however you want, but it really, in my mind, it's a loser's mentality. So I guess the question I would ask is like, what's the alternative? You
Mhm.
don't train them and they stay. Now you have a company full of stagnant, undeveloped people. So for
Yeah.
me, and I know for many other leaders that have gone through maybe this learning experience, I would rather train someone so well that they could leave, but also treat them so well that they never really want to.
That's really good. A couple of books, if our listeners are looking for the next Audible download, Who Not How is a great book.
Mhm.
And another book that I really enjoy, it's a great listen, is Chris Voss's book, Never Split the Difference.
Great
When
book.
you think about asking better questions, and I come up against this with a lot of the people I talk to, is leaders are used to giving orders. Hey, I need you to do this, right? And if to a certain extent, being task oriented is how you got this far.
Mhm.
But when you start looking at scaling, you need to start asking questions in between the tasks,
Mhm.
right? Hey, how are things going today? Hey, what can we be doing differently in your workflow to help you enjoy your job more? Asking these questions instead of just saying, hey, I need you to take on more, or I need you to solve this problem for me. Get those questions asked. So, all right, let's bring this home with some practical takeaways from our daily inspirations rundown. If an owner is listening right now and realizes they might be caught in the loyalty trap, what are the immediate steps they need to take this week, Fitz?
Great question. And again, this is learned experience from my own failures. Been there, done that, had those lumps and bruises myself. So hopefully this helps somebody out there that has kind of had that aha moment in their team, in their career right now. So look, I'll give you three specific questions that you need to ask your top performers. And I would say you need to do it like this week, right now. Don't put it off any longer, right? So schedule a one-on-one, take them to coffee and ask these questions. It'll help for sure.
All right, I'm ready here. What's question number one?
All right. So, question number one, what is the most frustrating bottleneck in your day to day work right now? And how can I help improve it for you? This shows them, I think, that you're there to serve them, right? As a manager, one of the mindsets you should have is that you work for your people, not the other way
Mhm.
around. It's not just like a one-way street.
That's really good, and it gives you the opportunity to clarify if needed. It might
Mhm.
be that they're saying this is a problem, and you're saying we're not going to change it. It might just shed some light on an issue you didn't even know existed. It's a lot of great opportunities here.
Sometimes they just need a vent.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes, man, I've talked to plenty of sales guys, Fitz, that just needed to talk to somebody about how bad their day was.
What
There's
we
no
what
solutions. There's just simply listening.
That's right. And for the record, it wasn't our fault that it was a bad day for.
That's right. Bad leads, bad marketing.
Right. Yeah, it's
All
your
right.
fault, Jay.
Yeah, okay. That's a great question. So, what's question number two?
All right. So the next one here for you is, where do you want to be in your career, say in the next 3 years? The follow up to this is also, are we currently on track to get you there? Right. This forces the development conversation. It proves that you care about their future and not just their current output. And I can't stress enough. I think the the back part of that question is probably the
Mhm.
most important part of it. Right? It shows a real, true investment in their development and what their aspirations are.
And I think that this question is also going to reveal to the leader asking it a lot about what their intentions with the company is.
Hmm.
Because this employee might make requests of their own personal development that requires the company to grow to accommodate.
No doubt.
And so that's going to challenge the leader to say, am I willing to grow the company alongside of my top performers? So that's a great question, a challenging one for both the leader and the employee. So final question, Fitz, what do you got?
Before I give this one, I'm going to give you, I guess, another piece of advice here is, do these right away. But with
Mhm.
the caveat here, Jay, don't do them unless you're ready to hear the answers
Yeah.
and do something about it. Okay.
Yeah. Love it.
Because if you ask these questions and don't act on them and don't change or evolve as a leader, it's
Yep.
going to be lip service and it's going to do more damage than if you didn't ask.
Yeah.
So the last one here for you, if you've made up your mind that you're going to listen and you're going to do something about it, right? It would be this. What is one thing I'm doing as a leader that is slowing you down or making your job harder? You really have to be willing to take that hit, like I was just saying. And if you
Yeah.
cannot handle the answers to those questions or this one in particular,
Mm.
you have no business leading a team, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, get that last question. So those are
Mhm.
heavy questions, Fitz, to be honest. But if you actually ask them and actually listen to the answers, it will completely transform the culture of your company pretty quickly.
There is no doubt. And look, I'm speaking from personal experience. I've seen it, right? We all want loyalty. It might be a phrase you have on the wall, those kinds of things, but you have to earn it. You have to earn that loyalty that you're, I guess, demanding from your people by putting it up on a wall. It's really that simple. It's not just given, it's earned.
Well said. And we've covered some hard truths today, but that's what this show is all about. So we want to help you, the listener, build something that actually lasts.
Speaking of building those things that last, you're not going to want to miss the next episode we have coming out. We're going to dive into, I guess we'll call it the one hidden metric that is quietly bankrupting or putting another small business out right now, right? It's not marketing cost, it's not the
Phew.
payroll, and you're off the hook on next one, Jay. It's a metric or KPI that I would tell you almost nobody is tracking it, and we're going to expose that on next week's episode.
This one's going to be good. So thank you all for tuning in today. If this episode brought you value, please share it with another leader, maybe who needs to hear it. Give them some hard truths, and as well, like, subscribe, ring the bell, do your thing. Leave us a review as well. We'd appreciate that as well. We're across all the platforms. We're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and YouTube and all over the place.
Yeah. And we're here to help, man. So if you're struggling with this kind of concept or anything else we've talked about, don't hesitate to reach out. We'll be happy to share some of our failures with you and how we got through them for sure. So we appreciate you guys. So Jay, always a pleasure, sir. And
Absolutely.
until next time, we'll keep building and keep growing. Happy hunting, everybody.
Yeah.